Good morning, everyone. I was out here mowing the greens and just kind of looking around and looking at the difference between the Tifway 419 and the Tahoma 31. I just thought I just have to show you guys this. I just want to show you the difference between Tifway 419, which is like the granddaddy of Bermudagrass, you know, sort of the gold standard that everything sort of gets compared to because it's been around for a long, long time. It's a great grass. Like that's my whole yard, my front yard, side, backyard, everything right around my house is Tifway 419. And this expanded section is Tahoma 31. So it all started with us, with Tahoma 31, when Left Tool built his house and he was shopping for Bermudagrass. So we're like looking around and it had been like around here in Northwest Arkansas, we don't have any professional sports teams. So when the Razorbacks do something, it makes news. And that's like a joke, but that's also like 100% true. So the Razorbacks redo their field. They're putting in this new grass and like everyone's covering this. The football field got redone with Tahoma 31 when it was like brand new. I think that was the first thing I had heard about Tahoma 31. I don't think I'd even heard of it before. And then we found out that not but like an hour and a half away from us near Tulsa, Riverview Sod Ranch has Tahoma 31 sod, and that was like the first thing we had heard about it, or the first place we had heard of, you know, selling it, and it was not that far away. The next closest place was Memphis, and Memphis is where the Razorbacks got theirs, and we were like, well, 5 hours away. Anyway, so we got it from Riverview, which is just like an hour and a half away. Basically, loved it. So Left Tool's lawn has been awesome, like, and he kind of like, he sort of rubs it in a little bit, like he'll make little jabs at me, he's like, oh, you know, like his grass is nicer than mine or whatever, and it is. So like, then when I was doing this expansion, so I don't know, has that been 3 years ago maybe that Left Tool did his? I'm not sure if that's right, don't quote me on that, but when we did this expansion project to go on the other side of this ditch, I definitely knew I wanted Tahoma 31. So I've got Tahoma 31 everywhere on the other side of this ditch, including the second green, and I'll show you that too. But I've also got a couple of tee boxes of Tahoma 31, and it's been awesome. So I've been noticing the difference between Tifway 419 and Tahoma 31 specifically this year because they're both now established and I can actually see the difference. So I'm gonna walk around and show you that. I'll show you the rough, I'll show you the 1/2 inch parts, and I'll show you the greens. So we're gonna have, what is it, like a 2.5 inch section where my rough is. We've got a 1/2 inch section, you know, where my lawn compared to the Tahoma 31, 1/2 inch, and then 0.15 inch Tifway 419 versus Tahoma 31. So let's look at that. Okay, this is probably the best spot to look at it. So Tahoma 31 is on this side, Tifway 419 is on this side. Basically, what I notice about the rough, so this is, like I said, I don't know, 2.5 inches or so. My Toro mowers don't have numbers on them, they have like A, B, C, D, E, so it's a C on the Toro Time Master. So I keep it the same height, that's the important part, like the rough on both sides of this ditch. But this side is Tifway 419, and it looked really cool. Like it looks great when it's all cut even and everything's nice. It's unmowed right now, and I did want to show you the seed heads because the seed heads is a big difference. Something significant about Tahoma 31 is when I mow it on that height, the same height, like it cuts off a lot of the Tifway 419. I don't know if the mower has cut basically anything off of that all year. Like since the beginning of the year, we're, you know, mid-July, it's been hot. It's not like it's not Bermuda growing season. We are in peak Bermuda growing season. It was 104 degrees yesterday. It's already early in the morning and it's like 80 something, 84, even at 6:30 in the morning. So anyway, like peak growing season, but I still have not cut hardly anything off. Like when I go over that with the mower on the Tahoma 31 side, it doesn't cut hardly anything off, which is super interesting. I love it as a rough because it gets super dense and super thick. Whereas like the Tahoma or the Tifway 419 is a little more stringy, like taller and not as densely packed together. I'll get in here close so you can see some details, but I love that. The seed heads are also different. So the seed heads are shorter. I'm not gonna say there's any fewer. In fact, there could possibly, I don't know if there are more seed heads or if it's just that the seed heads are shorter so that the mower hasn't been cutting them off. That part I can't tell you because I don't know if there would be just as many seed heads on the Tifway 419. I think there would. I think there would be just as many seed heads. So it's not like Tahoma 31 produces fewer seed heads. It does not produce fewer seed heads. If anything, it's more, but possibly just the same amount, but they're more noticeable because they're short and my mower doesn't cut them off. So going along with that density that the Tifway 419 has and the fact that I feel like it doesn't grow as fast. So like that great example of that is the greens. So let's go over here. The Tifway 419 green, if I go a couple days without cutting it, I will cut more off of the Tifway 419 green than I will off of the Tahoma 31 green. There's just more clippings flying everywhere. So that's how I know that Tahoma 31 does not grow as fast as Tifway 419. Again, in the rough, it's obvious because it's still just not as tall. Like it hasn't gotten to 2.5 inches, which is probably something to note. If you want 3-inch tall Bermuda grass, you probably should not get Tahoma 31. I'm not completely convinced that it will grow to 3 inches. Again, this rough basically hasn't been cut. When I run the mower over that, it still doesn't cut anything. End of July. Anyway, so don't do Tahoma 31 if you want 3-inch tall grass, because I'm not sure it will actually even get there. I think that's a good thing. I think it's a great thing. I think you should lower it from 3 inches, but maybe that's just me. So yeah, Tahoma 31, it just grows slower because I don't cut as much off of this one. So a good example was we did the birthday party thing, and then I spent the next couple days like cleaning up after it, and it's been super hot. I just didn't feel like mowing or whatever. So I got a couple days behind. I didn't mow every day. And when I came yesterday to cut, I just cut way fewer clippings on the Tahoma 31 than I did on the Tifway 419. I should note something else on the greens. Let me show you this. The stress. So Richard Nettles is our biggest fan, and Richard Nettles asked a question on, I think it was the mowing every day video, where he asked, does the Tahoma 31 have any different wear tolerance than the Tifway 419? So you'll notice on my greens, you're not supposed to turn your reel mower on the green. You're supposed to go like, onto the fringe or off into this being my fairway, whatever, turn and then come back across the green. If you'll notice, I can't do that on part of my greens. I have a flower bed, live edge green straight to the flower bed. So I can't go off the green, turn and come back. So I have to turn on the green in certain areas. In the places where I do have to turn, there is much more significant wear on the Tifway 419 than there is on the Tahoma 31. Yeah, I kind of noticed that before Richard Nettles asked that question, but never really like formulated the thought and like realized how significant it was. So I think that's really cool. It's just got to be better wear tolerant. I still have some spots that haven't seemed to fill in completely on the Tifway 419, whereas the Tahoma 31 green is just thicker, more dense. I need to verticut the Tahoma 31 green. It's just getting thicker, and I think my mower is starting to float a little bit, so I need to verticut it and probably try to thin it out and take out some of this stuff, take out some of this thickness. But anyway, so that's something notable too, how the wear tolerance is so much better on Tahoma 31. Let me show you the fairways now. Try to get to a spot where I can show you both at the same time. This is probably going to be as good as it gets right here. So Tifway 419, cut it a 1/2 inch. If you'll notice, do you see those spots that are scalped? I did the miniature golf video. I do miniature golf course every year for Little Tool's birthday. This is the 4th annual miniature golf course. So we scalped the holes, could make it nice and short so the ball will roll better. You can still see them very clearly. What is it? Today's Wednesday. That was last Friday was the last time I scalped it. So it's been a handful of days and it hasn't filled in completely. Can you see that? Like, I don't know if you can even tell where the hole was, but that's Tahoma 31. That's where the hole was. There was a giant round one, and there's one right by the sand trap. It didn't scalp as much in general. Like when I went over it at the same height, same mower, same everything, when I went over the Tahoma 31 with that mower at a 1/4 inch, I think was what I did those at, it didn't scalp as much on the Tahoma 31. You could credit that to Tahoma 31 not growing as fast, so there wasn't as much dead material underneath. You could credit that to Tahoma 31 probably not having as much brown stock on the bottom in general. That's been something really cool about Tahoma 31, is that it grows it just grows different. This Bermuda grass is just different. I should throw this out there. I have never had, like some of the more popular ones, I've never had Tif Tuff, I've never seen Tif Tuff in real life, I've never seen Celebration, never seen a lot of these, and so if you have feedback on those, you can leave them in the comments and people can try to look through some of that too, but that's a disclaimer. I'm comparing 419, like I said, the granddaddy of Bermuda grass, to Tahoma 31, which in my opinion and everything I've seen, seems to be the latest and greatest. In that same vein, on Facebook groups, I'm in these Bermuda grass Facebook groups, and just yesterday saw people kind of going nuts over Tahoma 31. Again, we've had it for 3 years and we've been raving about the stuff ever since. So I like to take some credit for that. I'm just kidding, not at all. It's just an awesome grass, and the word has gotten out. But something kind of cool is there was a company that sent me a handful of plugs. We put those plugs at my brother at Left Tool's mother-in-law's house, which is right across the street from where his new house is going to be built. So those plugs, we'll get to see how those grow and fill in. We didn't realize that he put them in some bare spots. He didn't know at the time, and I didn't realize what was going on, but put them actually in the same section of grass as some Zoysia. So I'm interested to see how that Tahoma 31 is going to compete with the Zoysia, because the Zoysia is kind of known for being real dense and thick and taking over Bermuda grass in places. So this will be a head-to-head, really interesting test spot. But that company that sent us the plugs, they sell plugs. In fact, she told me that they're the only company that can sell branded like Tahoma 31 brand plugs on Amazon right now. Anyway, I don't know if that's going to change, but they officially got the approval to sell Tahoma 31 brand plugs on Amazon. I'll put that down in the description. If you want to test some out, get some plugs, or if you want to plug a section of your yard with Tahoma 31, you can go get it from these people. Oh, I feel it's in the east somewhere. I can't remember what state they're in, but anyway, you'll see. You can go on Amazon and check them out. What was I talking about before that? How it's just much more dense, I guess. Bermudagrass, Facebook groups, people are going wild about it, and I think. Again, I was telling you, disclaimer, I haven't had the other type, so I don't know if there's any other type that's like that doesn't have as much brown on the bottom, that just has green shoots coming like straight out of the ground and just so much more thick. But Tahoma 31 is like that. And then I think I also got off track, and I was showing you how Tahoma 31 didn't scalp as much in general, but even in the places that it did scalp, and it looked just like the Tifway 419 scalped areas, the Tahoma 31 has recovered so much faster somehow. So slower grower somehow. It scalped less in general, so that's probably why it looks like it has recovered faster, but even the places where it did scalp, it is almost completely recovered. I don't know how, like, it's just a different animal. I've been saying this, Tahoma 31 is just simply different. So anyway, there's kind of my take and maybe some comparison that can help you out, but that's Tahoma 31 versus Tifway 419. Hopefully that's helpful and you can learn more about it, but I really do think that Tahoma 31, it's the nicest Bermuda grass I've seen. I can't claim to have seen them all, but I love it, and we've loved it ever since Left Tool got it, and I was like, dang, this is just different. Shade tolerance also. He has an area that's pretty shaded. He's got like his house and then his fence right next to it, and the grass is just fine in that area where it, probably gets shaded a lot. And at high noon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it gets sun, so it gets some sun, but it's not full shade, but more shade tolerant than my Tifway 419 for sure. But one of the claims of Tahoma 31 is that it has earlier spring green up. That one was evident on the greens in the spring. I could see a line where it was greener faster. I don't love that claim. It was like, a couple weeks maybe where I noticed a difference. It was faster. It is a faster spring green up and a faster to completely green. Whereas like the Tifway 419 started coming out of dormancy about the same time, but the Tahoma 31 was full green faster. The Tifway 419 was like half green, for a couple weeks, while the Tahoma's already what I consider like full green in the spring. So that one, I'm like, yeah, maybe. Winter, the logo of Tahoma 31 has a snowflake on it. So one of the big things there is they say that it has better like cold tolerance. I don't have any direct experience on that one. I have had winter kill on my Tifway 419, but only in the areas that are right up against the house on the north side that got less sun and probably got colder in general in the winter. And that was last winter, 2 winters ago, whatever, when we had like negative 19-degree temperatures. So I can't tell you. I know that Left Tool didn't have any of that on the north side of his house, or at least much less. So maybe I don't have any direct, I didn't take the time to really pay attention and to be able to personally tell you a story on the winter tolerance or the cold tolerance. But anyway, so there's that. But anyway, hopefully it's helpful. I've gotten off track a couple times. Maybe I'm kind of rambling here, but that's my summary on Tahoma 31 versus Tifway 419, in case it's helpful to you. Let me know if you like this sort of thing, or if you're like, oh, that was dumb, don't ever do that again. And I guess I'll see you in the next video. Later.